I'll do that at the end, though. Okay, good morning. This is Jack from Charting the Markets, and this is the pre-market webinar for the morning of Tuesday, the 6th of January. My disclaimer, I do this for educational purposes only. I'm here to share my technical analysis with you. I hope you can take some of what I'm doing and learn from it, transfer it to your own charts, and I'm not here to issue trading signals. This is a video for paying subscribers at chartingthemarkets.substack.com, and it's published on YouTube after a delay of 24 hours. All right, great. Let's have a look at ES. Now, we saw a bit of retracement yesterday, and we've broken up from, I think, what is a bull flag, and we've got a target, as I was saying in my post on Friday, at another retest of the all-time high, and that would actually set up overall a pretty nice looking triple nested double top, actually. So I'm thinking we'll be talking more about that once it's set up. We will see. But for the moment, this looks like we've been forming a bull flag overnight, and I'm leaning towards the upside. Now, tomorrow, it is worth noting that we have the only significantly bullish leaning day of the week, and that is tomorrow. That leans 2/3 bullish. We will see how that goes, but I'm liking the upside there, and that's the only bullish day this week. We do actually have two of those next week. We've got a 71% bullish on Monday next week, and we've got a 67% bullish on Friday. And today it's just Wednesday. So I'm liking upwards today or tomorrow. I'm expecting to see some more upside. I have high hopes that SPX is going to retest the all-time high, and I think I'm feeling pretty positive about RTY. NQ is the one I'd really like to see get off the mat here. We're a long way away from an all-time high retest, but I'm thinking if we can get up to the retest of this high and then get up to the retest of this high, then it would set us up to potentially do that if we're going to do it. However, it is a concern that we are still looking weakest on the Qs, and while that remains the case, this is a fragile uptrend. RTY, we've broken up nice looking falling wedge bull flag here, both here and on the IWM chart, and they have broken up, and I'm liking the upside here, and I'm thinking we've got a pretty good chance of retesting the high. Now, I haven't mentioned YM, and that's because, rather surprisingly, it actually went up and retested the all-time high yesterday. Now, that's obviously made a target. This double bottom actually failed, and then basically failed, retested the low, and then went straight back up and made the target with a little IHS here, which I hadn't marked in because, frankly, there wasn't time. So I'm liking this. This is looking pretty good, and that is the second of the high retest that I was looking for, and that is now in the bag. All right, DAX. Still continuing higher, no sign of it reversing. ESTX, we have got a 60-minute sell signal fix that made most of its way to the target overnight. We will see, but again, we're making higher highs here. These are both stronger than any of the US indices at the moment. All right, let's have a look at the bigger picture charts. Okay, looking at the daily chart here. Daily chart, we went consolidated and got considerably over the daily middle band yesterday. That should now be support. ES, we broke back over the daily middle band with confidence yesterday. That closed yesterday at 69.14, and we closed at 69.43, so we're back 30 handles above it. Nice, good looking day. Qs managed to get over the daily middle band. There really wasn't a lot in it. It closed 16 ticks above. Now, that wasn't an awful lot, and I have to say this is still looking pretty damn weak, but it is at least back over the daily middle band, and the others have all made it with some confidence. In terms of Dow, we had a good up day yesterday. We got back over the daily middle band the day before. We almost reached the 3ST upper band yesterday. So I'm not expecting to see fireworks from that again today. Looking at IWM. IWM, we put in a solid day yesterday. It wasn't fireworks. We got back over the daily middle band with some confidence, so we've now got all of them back over the daily middle band. And remember, when the others started breaking the bands, the daily middle bands, IWM had already been below it for a couple of days. So this is all looking pretty promising, and I'm thinking we're looking at pretty good on IWM to go back up and retest the all-time high again, because of course this is the one that had already retested the all-time high in December along with SPX. So I'm really liking this. This is looking pretty good. In terms of the short-term setups, Hourly chart, no current divergence. RSI 5 buy signal has made target. Not seeing any obvious reason on the hourly chart to think we won't make the retest of the high. RSI 14 buy signal on the 15-minute made target. Just needs to get up a little further and into the full high retest. That only needs to get up another 25 handles from the high yesterday, so not a big move. I'm expecting pretty confidently to see that today or tomorrow. All right, looking at the Q, RSI 5 buy signal on the hourly made target, 15-minute. That had obviously made the possible near miss target already. This has been muted, and I've got the overall bull flag channel, and my concern is that what we might do is do the retest of the high on IWM and possibly see a sizable fail there, where Qs actually heads down to this support level. And I am wondering if that might happen. Obviously, we could kill that scenario off just by breaking up over this resistance, but I have to say Qs have been pretty weak. All right, looking at Dia, no open targets there. Retested the all-time high and made a new one. Little 15-minute RSI 14, only a weak one, sell signal, which is fixed here. We had one on RSI 5 as well, which has already made target. But basically, we had a flag here that's made target. There are no more patterns in terms of IWM. We've got on the hourly chart. We had RSI 14 buy signal, and that has now made target. We've broken up over the obvious flag resistance, and I'm looking for that flag target, which is the retest this high here at 257.34. Looking at DAX, DAX has retested the all-time high. I was thinking that was looking more likely than not yesterday, and it's done it. So we shall see. Looking at Nikkei, I'm wondering about a retest of the all-time high, and looking at this, I'm thinking we can see that in the next by the end of tomorrow as well. I'm just wondering, because if we do that, and particularly if the crypto cooperates and does the scenario that I was talking about today, then actually we've got a potential setup for a fail there. But I'm not going to. I mean, I think, frankly, the economy's not going. The prospects for the US economy are not good this year. I think we're in an AI bubble. But what I would say is that bubbles tend to go up until, well, they stop. And it's very hard to say, yes, it's done right here. It's very, very hard to say that. And generally speaking, if you do that, you're going to be wrong. So what I tend to wait for is the setups, and I'm thinking we might have a decent looking topping setup by the close on Wednesday, and I'll be watching out for that. In the absence of that, I'm going to be calling the patterns, divergences, setups, etc. Because that's what I do. In terms of prognosticating and making big things about, the market should do this, the market should do that, I think really, if you need to see someone talk with that kind of certainty, you need to go to church. So you do not need an analyst, because analysts, in my view, should not do that. And when they start, it generally means they're going to start being wrong about everything. All right, let's have a look at DX. Now, DX, we actually saw a bit of a pullback there, but actually that wasn't bearish. It certainly wasn't bearish looking to me for a number of reasons. Let's go through those. Now, one, the 60-minute sell signal reached possible near miss target, so that is now done. We've seen a nice little rally off the lows, but on Euro, we saw the break with this. This was the rally after the breakdown. We often see this. This does not weaken the prospects of getting there, and we had a buy signal which has now reached possible near miss target as well. GBP, we didn't have a topping pattern, but we do now. We've got a potential level top, so this actually, the situation has improved significantly. USD JPY hasn't really changed significantly at all. USD CAD, this broke up and made target on this IHS. We do potentially have a larger IHS forming here. But I'm encouraged to see the upside we've seen so far. This hasn't really pulled back an awful lot. Australian dollar, we retested the high and we've got a nice looking level top. NZUSD, we broke up from a little level bottom here, but overall we've got a nice looking level top. This is a nicer topping setup for the contra DXs, and on DX, this is now a nicer setup to reverse up hard. Doesn't mean it's necessarily going to, but it's a nicer setup for it, and I like the setup better than I did yesterday. All right, GB. GB trading sideways, still got a bear flag, which is still broken down with a target and a retest of this low here, and about the 114. 17 area, 16 area. If we make that, I'm thinking we may just resume. We've got a large head and shoulders, which is broken down with the 112.04 area, and I'm thinking we might just resume the downtrend. This looks like a bearish triangle forming on ZN. And ultimately, I'd expect to see a retest of this low here, and that might resume the downtrend there. We've got a double top, which is broken down with a target, the 110.17 to 110.12 range. It is very, very hard to be optimistic about the prospects for US bonds this year. One, the government's absolutely out of control in terms of spending. The growth in the national debt has accelerated, and it's getting worse. Trump's taken over the statistics department, and make no mistake, by the beginning of May, a new Trump shortly after the beginning of May, but a new Trump appointee to the Federal Reserve will have been appointed, and the Federal Reserve will no longer be independent and will be under the orders, unless something radically changes, of a Trump appointee who will do whatever he is told. This is not good news for US Treasuries. This is going to be a lack of confidence. I think the prospects for this year for US Treasuries are grim to potentially disastrous. We will see how that goes, but that's just my 2 cents. All right, CL, we've got a little higher here. We've got a possible weak 6-minute sell signal brewing, although that's now getting up towards a full strength one. Keeping an open mind on what's happening here. HO, this nice looking bottoming setup here. It's really not bad. And RBOB, we've got a nice little inverse 10 shoulders forming here within a larger double bottom. Why would oil be going up here with this Venezuela thing going on? I don't know, but I think it might just be going up anyway. I'm not seeing that there's a lot of prospect for restriction on oil, apart from obviously the fact that the US was already blockading Venezuelan oil, but I think that might be easing up soon. So I don't think a potential rally here on oil has anything to do with that, but I am thinking we might see one anyway. Looking at NG, we're in a big inflection point on NG here. Now the question is, we've come back, we've retested the low, and we've got a potential double bottom here, and the choices are either we have a shot at getting back up into this high here in the 5 area, or we continue to the downside. Overall, I'm leaning probably 60-40 in favor of continuation to the downside, but I wouldn't be astonished to see the rally. We will see. Although I would note that if we do see the rally, then we've got this lovely looking double bottom, but of course often double bottoms break up and they fail. So that doesn't necessarily mean we'd head back and retest the high. We would need to then make that target. GC. We've got a very nice looking little IHS which is broken up here. Thinking we might see a bit of pullback today. We've got a weak 6-minute sell signal fixed, and we've got another one of those fixed on palladium, which is also broken up from an IHS. I'm leaning towards seeing retests of these highs across the board. Wouldn't be amazed to see a bit of a retracement today. We shall see. Looking at platinum, we've got an IHS which is also broken up here with the target basically fully at a retest of the high. HG, we've reached the retest of the high here, and we are going higher, and this could continue to go higher. We've got a 6-minute sell signal fixed. This is potential topping action here, but this has overall been pretty bullish action, and it could be that rather than topping out here, we're going to see a break higher. And this has been very, very resilient end of last year, when I was thinking that there was a pretty good chance it was going to go down. We will see. Maybe AI is pulling this up with the rest. Okay, KC, I've been looking for a larger flag to form. We haven't formed a nice trend line here, but it's not far away from the obvious target to form that resistance, and we've broken over this declining resistance. I'm still thinking this is a likely bear flag forming. Normally, when you've got a bear flag that is broken down, then you see higher highs, you are forming a larger bear flag. Not always, but normally. SP, this is likely a sizable bear flag forming. CC, is this a double bottom breaking up towards a retest of the high? Well, it sure doesn't look like it in terms of the structure. I'm thinking we might make this target and retest the high here anyway. But I think there's something else forming here which isn't entirely clear yet. CT, I've been watching this double bottom for ages, and it's finally broken up with a target in the 66.8 to 67 area, and I'm liking the odds of looking at that target. Lumber, this is either forming a bear flag or it has formed a bear flag and has broken down from that bear flag. One or the other. Either way, I think we're going to see a retest of this low here in the not too distant future, and when we do, I'm thinking there's a pretty good chance this is going to continue to the downside. ZW, we are finding some support here. I was expecting to see a retest of the low that was going to set up a possible double bottom, and so far it's finding some support. So I'm wondering whether this double bottom has a shot. Resistance is at 525. In the event that we see a sustained break over it, the target would be in about the 545 to 550 area. Looking at corn. Again, I'm wondering if we're finding support here. Very nice looking three such support trend line, although I'm not quite sure what that would be, what the corresponding trend line would be. It could be across here. Way too big to be a flag if that's the case. We will see. But I wasn't finding an entirely satisfactory trend line yesterday. The best I had was this one here, which was parallel here, but would suggest that we were in a channel, but that we hadn't reached the trend line on the last move up. On soy, what can one say about soy? Hopes that the Chinese would buy, knowledge that the Chinese weren't actually buying. So I'm thinking we might see a bit of a rally here, but it's hard to see this not heading back into a full retest of this low here at 1032 area. We will see. ZL, this looks like a bear flag forming. Now, if it can get over the monthly pivot, I do have a double bottom target in the 50.45 to 50.68 area. We will see. And I've got that down as having failed. Why? Okay, that's not actually technically failed. But in practical terms, this looks an awful lot like a bear flag. All right, live cattle. I was saying this was probably not a double top, and we have in fact broken up from it. I'm thinking we may well be heading back up to a retest this high here in the 250 area. Lean hogs. We've retested as high as expected, and this is a potential double top, so we've got a little inflection point here. I'm leaning towards the upside, I think, but I am watching the little double top here and thinking that we could see a retracement back down to about the 81 area. We shall see. All right, great. Right, we already have a question about NVIDIA. Let's have a look at that again, and let's pull that up. Yeah, there will be. But to be honest, the other thing is that if we're going to follow the same pattern on crypto, which is basically that we're likely to be in a bear market all year, that's not going to be great for the stable coins. Also, I don't think the stable coins will be enough. I don't think stable coins which are based on US Treasuries are going to be that popular either. I think people are getting warier about the dollar, and that's only likely to continue because there is no plan. There is no plan at all to do anything to reduce the deficit. And while there is no plan, then that's reducing confidence. Also, people are starting to position away from the US dollar, and I mean this is already affecting the muni market because Canadian pension funds, after Trump threatened a couple of banks and said argued they were laundering money, etc. All the pension funds in Canada, it was suggested that they pull out and invest in markets with less political risk. So that was like 4 trillion out of bonds and muni markets, and that's being over a year or so. But that's already affecting quite seriously the muni markets. And Trump does this, and he doesn't learn, and he just keeps going and doing it, and he's going to be he's scaring off the customers. So, and customers who get scared off, well, they stop buying. So we shall see. All right. Is there a head and shoulders forming on NVIDIA? Yes, there may be. Nice eye. That is a pretty good one. Yeah. Now, the head and shoulders, I would say, actually, I'll just draw that for you. Just so there's no confusion, the obvious head and shoulders currently, and that could change, we could end up with a downsloping one, but the currently nice looking head and shoulders, which is already forming here, is this one, and that is actually pretty peachy. Let's have a quick look at, we don't have any weekly negative divergence here. All right, hang on, just need to check this out, mate. Oh no, that's the weekly chart again. Do we have negative divergence on the weekly chart? No, I don't think so, but I'm just going to check. But then let's check the daily. This is quite a nice looking head and shoulders, mate. You're right. And if that breaks down, hang on, wait a second. Nope, there is no negative divergence there. All right, if that breaks down, we'd be seeing the neckline break in about the 172 area, and this would be about, what would that be? 32, 44. And the target would be in about the 131 area. So that would be down here. That wouldn't get us back. That wouldn't get us back into the April lows, but it'd be a pretty stiff looking retracement. And I have to say, this is one thing I'm thinking about, because Qs look so weak. We've not seen Qs get their mojo back at all. And Qs basically delivered most of the market gains last year, such as they were. I mean, it looked quite impressive on the surface, but I was pointing out that it was 16% in the US on average, and the world, excluding the US, went up 29%. So the US were the laggards last year, and I think they might be the same this year. And if we're losing the Qs as momentum, then the writing is likely on the wall. All right, let's have a look at the daily chart here. The daily chart, we've got no negative divergence worth the mention. In fact, we've got no negative divergence at all. But no, we do. We've got a possible weak RSI 5 sell signal brewing, but it would benefit. The signal would benefit from going up a little higher. So I'm thinking it may well do that. If that could this would be a decent looking signal forming if this could get this second high could get back up on RSI into the 70 area. So that head and shoulders, I'm taking it seriously. It's nice. One thing I would mention, though, is that we've actually already got a head and shoulders here on NVIDIA, and that's broken down already with a target a bit higher in about the 143 area, and that's not failed yet. The high for that, the point at which that would fail would be in the 195.99 area, and actually, you quite often see these patterns fail into larger patterns forming, and this could be that pattern. But in the event that we didn't get back over 195.99, I would be sticking with the original one with the target at the 143 area, and I could be considering the other one just as a possible alternative. All right, great. In that case, that's a wrap. Everyone take care, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Cheers.